We will get together and do a citizen's arrest on every single human being. You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask.
If you get triggered by this, then you might be a COVID-19 idiot.
More like they might be tired of the constant reminder of how much of a shitty society and year it has been.
I mean,
although this has been released last year and now it is 2021. So, but that aside, Happy New Year, everybody.
The vast majority of people like getting triggered on the mask issue have been people on the other side who get triggered at people for not wearing one.
Even outside.
Yeah, even outside where masks wouldn't really do anything. Like I've heard of people like being stopped who are walking their dogs all alone in a public place being stopped by somebody. Someone runs up to them and tells them, "Oh, you got to wear a mask." What the fuck would be the point of that? I've seen people wearing masks who are driving alone in their cars. Why?
I mean, you're by yourself. What are you going to catch?
That is pretty freaking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I wear one in like a public, in like a crowded place. Yeah, I mean, and I think people should because you know the virus is real. Yeah, all right, that's fine if you want to, but some of the hysteria is insane.
So anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a pretty good New Year weekend and whatnot. And I hope this stream is coming in all smoothly and whatnot. And yes, to remind everybody, I said that supposedly that I was going to put on hiatus the news streams. But I thought to sort of satisfy people's content needs that I would go ahead and do this live stream and go responding to Hunter Avallone when it comes to his stupidity on the C virus pandemic, the CCP virus, as our good buddy Loudmouth here wants to call it.
Fuck the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, and not to mention that my RAM chips that I had ordered in to upgrade my computer, they aren't scheduled to come in until like mid-January or even mid-February for that matter, which I thought is way too freaking long to be putting off these news streams. So for right now, I thought I'd go ahead and do it anyways. Just pretty much end the hiatus, I guess. And I uninstalled one of my antivirus software, which that was probably one of the problems that was making my computer shut down in the middle of a freaking live stream. But it should be, for the most part, resolved. Anyway, so to get back onto the subject, Hunter Avallone, he says that people are getting triggered over the mask, supposedly. Or getting offended, rather. I wouldn't even call it offended, really. I would not word it that way. But if anything, I'm not getting so much offended at people wearing the mask itself. More like I am getting all irked by the mandates for people to wear the mask and all the other dictatorial things that are done in this country in a state-by-state jurisdiction to try and supposedly fight this virus. You know,
I heard that New York City, like some legislator there proposed a law to, I'm not kidding, detain people they label disease carriers. That is insane. You won't even need to worry about Chinese tyranny. They're bringing it here. Somebody looked at those videos from China, people of the communists welding people into their homes, and are like, you know, maybe they had the right stuff. It's insane.
Yep. And as I do, I actually did research about that, and we are going to bring that up as an example here later in this video in response to how Hunter keeps on saying throughout this video the response to the coronavirus pandemic has nothing to do with your personal liberty, quote unquote. And I'm just so sick and tired of it. Anyway, so to continue on with Hunter.
Oh, man, my glasses are literally already fogging up. What's up,
everybody?
We're
all getting infected.
I got smell-o-vision on my computer. I don't know about you guys. So the smell is just of his breath is just literally reeking onto my mask, and now I'm having the pores of the coronavirus just starting to seep through my mask, and I'm contagious now too.
Yeah, I mean, you realize he can infect everyone with communism by taking his mask off live on air, right?
Yep.
Might as well, although, a side note, nobody is seriously calling him a communist. But anyway.
I'm making a joke because the virus came from communist China. That's the joke, okay?
I got you. I understand. So a little bit of a pro tip for everybody. If your mask is starting to make your glasses fog up, like you know that I wear prescription glasses, get yourself an SA Gear face mask. They're fairly well ventilated to where that you will not fog up on your glasses as much. And not to mention, tuck up your mask underneath your glasses, like right below your eyeball. That helps. Anyway, I digress though.
Back to another fabulous video. That's right. It's me, your favorite skinny, fat, lesbian-looking white.
I mean, he is kind of getting the secular talk, Kyle Kalinske look to him, and you know how that Kyle Kalinske, everybody's kind of made those jokes and jabs at him of how he looks like a lesbian softball coach. And I wouldn't call you fat, Hunter, only in the face.
I think he said skinny.
Well, he said skinny.
I think he said he was skinny.
He said skinny and fat in the same statement. I guess to point out a joke.
How can you be skinny and fat at the same time? It doesn't even make sense. Whatever.
I think he was just basically teasing all of his detractors, but nonetheless.
I guess.
COVID-19 idiots. Now, this pandemic has been sweeping the globe for basically the entirety of 2020 so far, and of course, with something this huge, something this severe, there are going to be some idiotic reactions. So I thought today we would sit back.
Like people trying to fight for their own liberties to run their business and all that stuff like that. That's not idiotic. Just for me premise.
It's their livelihood. And people do realize that having a world where Jeff Bezos is able to rank in billions of dollars while thousands of small businesses close is really bad for the future of this country.
Yeah.
Yeah, small businesses help run this country.
Small businesses
like
California, this country.
Like California has closed down smoke shops and small electronic retailers and the like.
Yeah.
And that's according to the Los Angeles Times. It's not according to some right-wing blog site. For everyone listening out there,
my local restaurant is closed at the corner, but Walmart, which is packed full of people, is open because that makes sense.
The left, everybody, they say that they want to close down the majority of businesses. They also say that they are for small businesses, but their lockdown advocacy is hurting small business and it is big business. So a little bit of a self-defeating
more
right
likely to be tied to China. That's what this is all about.
Yep.
And react to some of these morons and then debunk all of their complete bull that they're spreading. So first up, we have this tweet from notorious right-wing bimbo and grifter Ashley St. Clair. Ashley St. Clair,
So a little side note, this is irrelevant to the video, but you have a Hunter who's pretty much a leftist by now because he is backing down on his capitalism stance. He no longer wants to ban abortion, and he's sympathetic towards single-payer healthcare and all that other stuff. Pretty much overall kind of left-leaning, and he's calling a woman a bimbo. Like, I will admit that in my response video to Nicole Arbor on abortion, I might have called her a bimbo a few too many times. Maybe I shouldn't have called her that at all, in all appropriateness. But since a leftist calls a woman a bimbo, I guess, hey, the term bimbo isn't too bad, right, folks? But anyway.
Hypocrisy!
job is literally to just regurgitate every single talking point that the right wants to hear, whether she actually personally believes it or not. She does not give a fuck about truth. All she's trying.
How do you know that? That is assuming.
It's ironic coming from you, Hunter.
Yeah, that requires being able to read Ashley Sinclair's mind in order to come up with that. Which I'm not the biggest fan of Ashley Sinclair either. I think I've criticized her in the past, but that's just flat out making shit up. There's no way he can know whether she believes the things she says unless either they contradict previous statements or if he can read her mind.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I gone viewing this video the first two times, this is now the third time right here live on air. But the first two times I listened to this, I wasn't watching it. I was only listening it with my earbuds, and I thought that maybe he was pulling up a description, a screen cap of her job description or something like that. But no, apparently he's doing nothing but just making an assertion. He's pulling that completely out of his asshole and just asserting it. I mean, like Loudmouth said, how do you know that she's a grifter? How do you know that she doesn't actually believe what she says?
I don't need evidence. I just know it.
Look at me.
Sorry?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Followers and gain money. Again, she's like a soulless right-wing bimbo. Anyway, she tweets, I don't know who needs to hear this, but cloth masks and bandanas around your face do absolutely nothing. Well, isn't that cute? Ashley St. Clair spreading legitimate false information to her hundreds of thousands of followers. Very responsible, Ashley. Congrats. You really should have just stuck with the bimbo thing, not try to get into politics. You're not.
What fucking bimbo thing? Was she a model or something beforehand? I mean, why can't she talk about politics?
I guess because she's an attractive woman who talks about politics, and that's a problem. That's very problematic for a pretty woman to take political positions that he doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't agree with what Ashley Sinclair said there, but spreading misinformation, the woman is entitled to her opinion.
Yeah, and I will say by extension of what you say of not agreeing with her that this isn't really the part that I would so much wanted to more passionately respond to Hunter on, because ultimately, by what I have read, masks, they're more meant to prevent yourself from spreading to other people rather than prevent other people from spreading it to you if they're not wearing a mask themselves.
Right.
So,
from what I read, wearing a mask properly prevents you from spreading it to someone else reduces the chance by 70% and reduces the chance of you getting the disease by about 30%. So if everyone's masked, the chance of the disease spreading from one person to another in a confined space is basically cut in half by everyone masked. It certainly doesn't prevent the virus completely, but it does slow the spread. And this virus, of course, is a very slippery, devious little bastard. It really can get between things.
mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But I agree overall. I haven't read the statistics about the prevention, like that you just stated there, as far as 70% and 30% loudmouth. But putting the science of the mask aside, let's continue on.
Not doing too well. So there have been multiple studies now on wearing masks and whether or not they are effective. And I understand the original confusion, because originally we were told masks don't work, and now we're being told they do work. So,
well, no shit, Sherlock. Tell your Super Saiyan God Emperor, Dr. Andrew Fauci, to get his facts straight.
Anthony Fauci, but still.
Anthony Fauci, my bad.
But yeah, he definitely did contradict himself there. And I'm like, when he said masks didn't work, of course they work. People have used masks to prevent the spread of infectious diseases during pandemics for literally hundreds of years. Putting a mask over their face is something people have known to do for like 200 years. Mm-hmm. So his declaration of that was bizarre. Supposedly it was motivated because the masks were in limited supply back then, because people weren't really prepared for the pandemic, and he wanted to make sure that health professionals got the mask first. Okay, and I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, it's still ultimately lying.
It's very sketchy, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It was confusing at first, but it's pretty concrete now that wearing masks help. One study estimated that states that issued mandates between April and mid-May averted as many as 230,000 coronavirus cases.
Sure they did.
That is based off of CDC's national states, including New York, adapted mandatory mask mandates. One study estimated that states that issued mandates between April and mid-May averted as many as, that many coronavirus cases.
But New York had some of the highest level of infections in the nation.
Yeah.
So basically, with that argument, you can just take whatever the number is and say, yeah, but it would have been this so many higher had we not done this. So you don't know that for sure. I guess it was based on some kind of statistical model. Sure. And I'm not saying it's impossible that's the case, but it seems kind of an arbitrary number that really doesn't seem to be backed up with much hard data.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because they pull up New York here in the paragraph that I'm just kind of skeptical on the study because, yeah, like you said, it's New York was one of the examples, and yet they are still pretty high as far as cases go. And they're like even one of the higher people, or one of the higher states anyways. I don't know if it's like per capita, but the raw number as far as deaths from coronavirus go, that's mostly because of Andrew Cuomo, like the way that he handled all the retirement homes and so forth.
Oh yeah, he locked them in and let the old people die.
He should be impeached in his state, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that was a
He
great
should
move.
be in prison for that shit.
Yeah, putting the COVID patients in retirement homes was a great move there. Maybe you can do a routine with your brother on CNN. We'll tell you how good you did, which makes it so.
Toasted Network, if you believe a piece of cloth can stop a virus, you are delusional. Well, for one thing, I would say cite me that or tag me it on Twitter, the solid source that says that backs up your statement there, Toast. And secondly, I'm not like passionately for people like wearing masks. I mean, I don't care if they do or don't wear a mask. What I'm more passionate on is the mandate that everybody is supposed to wear a mask.
I mean, I said it like halves the risk. Not that it like is a sure thing to stop the virus. Of course, it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
No one argues that. I mean, sometimes condoms break, but it's still safer to wear them than not. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just noticed this. Apparently, YouTube has updated their full screen format for their YouTube videos. But anyway, that's neat.
Yeah.
About time.
A study estimates that nearly 45,000 U.S. deaths from coronavirus could be prevented by November if 95% of the population wore masks.
Like, exactly when and where would this be? Like, as far as mask wearing goes, because people like to give people fines on not wearing a mask when they're just walking by themselves down the street. I'd have to like go back and actually find my source on that, but I linked it back when I did my response video to Foamy the Squirrel when it came to the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. They're only effective in certain in indoor crowded environments is really the only time they're effective. Wearing one when you're alone or while outside walking your dog or something like that is retarded. It's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's where you don't need a mask. That's where wearing one is just pointless virtue signaling and won't do anything to prevent you from getting sick or prevent anyone else from getting sick.
All right. Anyway, did we lose you, Loudmouth?
Do you hear me?
Okay, never mind. I thought you kind of randomly cut out there. I thought, or it sounded like it anyways, but I guess you just abruptly stopped yourself or paused yourself from speaking anymore. But anyway.
Well, Night Shift says, hey, those plague masks were creepy and cool looking. At least that is true. They were, yeah. We have... Yeah, this isn't really all that new. I mean, previous generations have had viral epidemics. So
Yep.
The virus is mankind's oldest and greatest enemy.
All right. Continue on.
And to address Ashley St. Cuck's delusional take, specifically...
St. Cuck, more like you're the cuck, you cuck.
It's right here.
What?
Yeah, that took a lot of thought, didn't it, Hunter? took you a long time and probably planning this video to come up with that insult.
Yeah. And by cuck, I'm meaning he's like basically cucking out to the state and just rolling over towards any kind of a law that people want to implement in regards of the, well, I don't know. I don't want to inadvertently strawman Hunter because there might be a few things that he disagrees with in the ordinances that governors are enacting to fight the pandemic. But all the same, he's just putting a blindfold on as far as when he keeps on saying throughout this video, it's not about your personal liberty.
Yeah,
we have not come to that point yet.
And someone says, how far has Hunter Avallone fallen? The thing is, I never liked Hunter Avallone. Even like a couple years ago when he was more right-wing, I never could stand watching his videos. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I didn't really either. I mean, occasionally he would make a good point, but I thought overall that he was too much of a Trump harpy. That's not to say that all Trump supporters are too insufferable for my taste, but all the same, I just thought that he took it a little bit too far back then.
But I'm just,
And now,
saying, like, his videos were all just junk food. They were all just like regurgitating things other people have said. He really never had anything new or insightful to say, no matter what topic he was talking about. Even when I agreed with the guy's points, it still was very hollow. So I never understood how the guy got a following. That's just
fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point.
A cloth mask, bandana, or scarf is better than not being protected at all. Importantly, they provide a barrier to the respiratory droplets that could come in contact with the wearer. So before you trust...
Yeah, funny that paragraph says that even though, even though the very label on the mask says, for the face mask says that this will not protect you from COVID-19, or at least will have a less of a likelihood of a lower likelihood of protecting you from other people passing it to you.
Even a single word this dumb bimbo ever tweets, make sure you fact check her because it's just factually
Well, we're here fact checking you, so
incorrect.
Yeah.
Masks do help, they do work, and everybody should just help out and wear a mask. Here's a meme that's been shared around showing confirmed cases in these Middle Eastern areas, and then they show this meme of Muslim girls saying, worn face coverings for their entire life and still reported to have COVID-19. Think, America, think. I don't actually have to get into why this is just wrong, right? Not everybody in these countries are wearing face coverings.
now this isn't so much of a part that I disagree either. I'm just moving and getting onto the part of that I do actually disagree with on, and plus showing it for anyone else who wants to respond. But there is one thing though at this point that he does say that it seems kind of stupid, at least on the surface, anyways.
Only women are forced to wear face coverings for their entire life because they live under an oppressive religion known as Islam. We also know that men are more likely to contract coronavirus. So the fact that
That point right there. We also know that men are more likely to contract coronavirus. Like,
I'd like to see some data from that.
It's actually that it's not that men are more likely to contract it; they're more likely to have serious lethal repercussions. I believe coronavirus deaths have been 2 to 1 for men.
mm-hmm. Although it's not too surprising because men are like more exposed, like they contribute more into the labor force participation, you know. More men participate in the labor force than women do, statistically speaking, here in the U.S. at least. And I'd say that it's even more disparate in the Middle Eastern countries between how many men versus women participate in the labor force. So,
But beyond that, though, the virus is deadlier for men than it is for women. It's something about the male body. One, it's just as a general rule, like being larger makes you more susceptible for damage. It's why larger dogs don't live as long as smaller dogs on average, and men are obviously larger than women. That can contribute to it as well.
really,
Yeah.
Yep, the
Never
bigger
heard
you
of that.
are, the
And-
harder they fall.
That's part of it, but there's also something else to it that I'm not really certain about.
all right. I would wish to have like been able to see the studies, but as I just scrolled down there, Hunter doesn't provide any sources for his claims. But as you can see in the description, yeah, these bigger YouTubers, I don't know why it is that they do not provide the sources and whatnot. I mean, he doesn't even seem to have his own website that he might be get new merch now. Yeah, he doesn't even have his own personal website of where that he provides the sources.
Well,
I mean, at least
sources are gay, bro.
right.
I don't know if you got.
But I get the reference. But at least my 2 cents, and even Steven Crowder for that matter, at least underneath their YouTube videos, they will source to their website page that features the video, and also below the video features the sources on their own website. At least they'll do that. I mean, I'm just I don't have my own website, so I just go ahead and directly link my sources down in the description box of the appropriate YouTube video. But nonetheless, what is it with all of these big-time YouTubers not providing sources in the description box of their of their videos, not even providing a link to their own plausible website that provides the sources. It's strange.
It is.
But yeah, I wish I would have been able to like see a study on his claim there, but unfortunately he does not provide it. Doesn't even show a screen cap.
Women were forced to wear face masks their entire life, and then they still have confirmed cases. It's not the gotcha that I think the creator of this meme thought it was. I now present to you a story in 4 parts. Richard Rose says, "Let make this clear. I'm not buying a fucking mask. I've made it this far by not buying into that damn hype." The next slide shows him in June at a very crowded pool. "This COVID shit sucks. I'm so out of breath just sitting here." Richard Donald Rose III tragically passed away on July 4th, 2020. Now, it's very easy.
I don't know. I was about to ask, are you sure that it is?
Death?
What?
Did he just mock someone's death?
Well, okay. I did not let him finish his statement. I guess I probably should have. But I was just wondering if he actually has the citation that it actually was from COVID-19, or if it might be from some secondary illness that he got.
Like a car crash.
So who knows? But anyway, he doesn't exactly substantiate all the way. But let's let him finish his point.
To laugh at people like this because,
Oh,
I mean,
1 second.
natural 4th, 2020. Now, it's very easy to laugh at people like this because, I mean, natural selection, right? But let's remember that this guy, he's a real person. He has a family. He has parents. He has people around him that love him. And it's really sad that someone like this passed away because of all the misinformation that's been floating around. Here's another funny one.
So to Hunter's credit, he at least does not want to, he at least does not outright mock the death of that person. Although he says that it's not too surprising, or at least it's easy to do so. But anyway.
Florida County Commissioner who voted against masks in hospital with COVID-19. Another brilliant example of karma, bitch. Paul Waldron, the commissioner for St. Johns County, floating around. Here's another funny one. Florida County Commissioner who voted against masks in hospital with COVID-19. Another brilliant example of karma, bitch.
The question is, was he taking his own measures to try and prevent from COVID-19? This is not a case of karma in the way that you think it is, Hunter. I mean, what if he was taking his own precautions?
Because he's using karma wrong.
Yeah, I mean, what if he was taking his own precautions, but at the same time, he just did not want to enforce those said precautions, people to abide by those precautions or those mandates or whatever via the government law or whatever, government order. I mean, he's no, it's not a case of karma. It could also be a case of a county commissioner actually trying to somewhat stand up for people's rights.
Yep.
Paul Waldron, the commissioner for St. Johns County, just south of Jacksonville, Florida, has tested positive for COVID-19 and is currently in the hospital in critical condition. So again, sad. We don't want to see people losing their lives. We don't want to see people getting sick. But natural selection. This guy might be next up for a Darwin Award. We'll just...
So, precautions against COVID-19, but they did not want to the corona precaution. You being so fucking narrow-minded right now, Hunter. It's astonishing. Okay, I hope the connection is doing good. If everybody can hear me very clearly, are you still getting connection here? My internet access is good.
Yeah, you're cutting out bad for me.
Cutting out bad for you guys?
Turn your camera off.
It's going to be...
Ah, jeez. I hate to do this because I put on the aesthetic and whatnot, but I guess might just have to. Hunter is cutting off.
Yeah.
Is it just me? Or is Hunter's... Sorry, what?
which I'm not too upset about.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess let's just continue on.
Just have to wait and see. Florida has emerged as a coronavirus hotspot in the United States. As of July 10th, the state ranks 4th among the states with the highest number of overall confirmed cases. The state has averaged about 9,087 new cases each day for the last 7 days. Ironically enough, we have a bunch of Florida residents right here condemning their city council because they wanted to put a mask mandate in place, I guess. So let's go ahead and address some of these idiots' arguments.
Idiots or patriots? I mean, just because they fight for the liberty, that does not mean that they are automatically idiotic. You're seriously going to call people who are standing up for their freedom in different areas that's idiotic? Hunter, you have seriously fallen, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Although, I don't know, maybe one can make the point that he was never really libertarian at all. Just he was a right-wing utilitarian before, and now he's a sort of center-left utilitarian or populist or whatever. But anyway.
Appalling that each and every one of you sitting up there as human beings, part of the human race, the only race that we have, would suggest to muffle people, to put masks on our face, to keep us from breathing oxygen, to get us to become sickly.
Okay, has this lady been following Alex Jones or some shit? What the absolute f*** is she railing on about?
There was actually a video that I had seen. I guess I should have actually looked for it and provided it for this live stream. But there was a guy who did a CO2 or oxygen test of right next to his mouth, without the mask and then with the mask on, and it does bring the oxygen levels for a person's breathing a little bit under the OSHA recommended regulation of oxygen flow. So she isn't that far from the truth when she says that it's restricting people's breathing. I mean, that's not to say whether or not that's still not to say whether or not that they should or should not wear the mask, but still, that's a con to wearing the mask, is not as easy a time of breathing. Like, you'll have a harder time doing very hard labor if you're wearing a thick-ass mask.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, yeah, people care about the human race. That's why they're trusting what the studies show, that masks work, that masks are effective in slowing the spread of COVID-19, which is probably why it's a good idea to wear them in public. So I'm not sure how...
Toasted Network says, why do people connect Karens with anti-maskers when the opposite is true? Yeah, exactly, Toast. I mean, there are Karens on both sides, honestly. I remember watching a video on Facebook that there was this one Karen that was saying to a family that was refusing to wear a mask inside a grocery store, "I hope you freaking die," or something like that.
Stop using the term Karen, dude. It's I can't stand that term.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, I was just addressing the chat mostly.
All right.
How these city councilors wanting to mandate public mask wearing has anything to do with hurting the human race. Secondly, lady, you can still breathe oxygen while wearing a mask, right?
A little bit less effectively than if you were without a mask. Like, you're totally missing her point.
Yeah, running on a treadmill with a mask versus running without. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, she isn't being exactly precise in her rhetoric, but she does not think that you're literally going to have zero oxygen, like you're breathing in a fucking vacuum if you start wearing that mask. Come on. I know that you think that all these people are idiots, but don't assume that they're that much idiots, you fucking douchebag.
Does this lady think that if you take a mask and put it on, you're like, oh my god, I was suffocating in there, guys. Holy shit. This is like a plastic bag on the head of a child.
She was not, that wasn't her point, but whatever.
Pseudoscience and safety. Does anyone care about preserving the liberty of the people who pay your salaries? Some of you are up there smirking and smiling at public comments to which you do not agree. I have the photos.
While I'm over here smirking and smiling at you, lady. This
Well, then you're an authoritarian prick yourself as much as the council members that she is talking to, you asshole. I mean, I am actually pretty much in full agreement with the lady right here. I don't think there's one thing that in your dialogue right there that I disagree with. I mean, ultimately, it is restricting people's freedoms. I mean, even if I was to be somewhat sympathetic with the lockdowns and all the other government ordinances that were made in response to the lockdowns, I mean, at least I would still acknowledge that it is an infringement on people's freedom, but it's a different question as to whether or not that infringement on freedom is quote unquote good or effective or not. But geez, I swear, people, if I hear one more person say one more time that the lockdowns do not infringe on your freedom, it'll be too soon.
Yep.
literally has nothing to do with your personal liberties. First of
Let's hear
Yes,
that one
it
more
does.
time. Let's hear that one more time of how dumb it is.
You do not agree. I have the photos.
while I'm over here smirking and smiling at you, lady, this literally has nothing to do with your personal liberties. First of all,
Yeah, it has literally nothing to do with your personal liberties. Now, notice that he is only talking about masks here, but he's completely ignoring all the other things that are done in response to the lockdowns. Like Michigan, for example, it seems we kind of lost Loudmouth. See you later, I guess, Loudmouth. Anyway, like, seriously, in Michigan, they shut down, they mandated that the gardening sections in grocery stores be shut down. In California, they are shutting down multiple different small businesses like smoke shops and small electronic retailers, like it said a bit earlier. And not also, apparently they are shutting down and even arresting people just for going fucking boating out on the waters. Yeah, because that is like totally one of the high risk actions that you could do to contract COVID. Everybody is being out all on yourself, out all on your own, out in the middle of the fucking water. Totally, people, totally. As opposed to a fucking big chain grocery store that we just say, oh yeah, this is didgeridoo and very good, and this is just totally fine and dandy for people to keep on doing. Keep on going into the crowded grocery stores. You're saying, JJ?
Just people are so far, have their heads so far up their asses that they can't even think for themselves without a public official saying, oh, you're wrong, let's believe, and go ahead and believe the public official.
Right.
Like, it's fucking pathetic.
Yep. Did Loudmouth disconnect willingly, asks JC. I think he might have left on his own accord. I don't think he disconnected. I mean, unless he just randomly freaking disconnected and he's unable to tell me right now on Twitter, hey, I lost my internet. Excuse me. Hey, I lost my internet connection, dude. But I don't know.
He did
I would
before
like-
the stream said he was only going to be here for a little bit.
All right. My bad. I kind of wish that he would have said something beforehand, but it's either way. Anyway, not to mention, just recently, I got like reporting about a gym owner in New York, like not New York City, one of the more rural areas of New York. A gym owner was penalized, was fined for opening back up his gym. Yeah, this literally has nothing to do with your personal liberty, folks. They're shutting down churches. Yeah, literally nothing to do with your personal liberty, folks. The mask mandates themselves.
Yeah.
Literally nothing to do with your personal liberty, folks. Arresting a mom just for taking her kids to the playground. Literally nothing to do with your personal liberty. Don't have your head so far up your fucking ass, Hunter. Like, are you sure you're not just projecting when you are calling other people idiots? When you're calling people who are fighting for their freedoms in this area? Screw you.
wearing a mask in public does
Yeah.
not hinder any of your personal liberties. You are able to operate and live.
I'm sorry. Was there anything else that you was wanting to say before I played it?
Nah, you're good.
Oh, okay. I thought I might have cut you off a little bit too soon.
You are able to operate and live your life whatever you please in public, so long as you're wearing a mask.
No, that is a downright fucking lie. Like, okay, I will give
Some people can't wear masks because they don't get enough oxygen.
and not to mention, okay, I will grant that not every single state is the exact same in how they are handling the mask ordinances, but there was a freaking barbershop owner or salon owner down in Texas that when they tried to like open back up their business, what the state, I guess, considered a bit too early, she got arrested for that shit. No, Hunter, people cannot go about their regular ass lives just as long as they wear a mask. They are restricted from going about their regular lives whether or not they wear a mask. Fucking dipshit.
That is not an infringement.
What do you think Hunter defines as violating personal liberty? Asks JC Armitage. I don't fucking know at this point. He's just he's just gone full authoritarian pretty much as far as I'm concerned. And if you dare fight for your freedoms, it's not that you are like fighting for your freedoms, it's that you're being a fucking idiot, apparently. It's not because that you have a different belief than Hunter. It's just you're plain out a fucking idiot.
Apparently.
So long as you're wearing a mask. That is not an infringement on your civil liberties anymore
It is, dude.
than the state
we don't need to.
mandating clothes. Seriously.
Well, technically, it is actually an infringement on people's liberty, technically, to be mandating that people wear clothes. I mean, not that this is like high priority or anything as far as people wearing clothes, but if ideally within a libertarian society, you would not arrest or fine people really for not dressing a certain way on the. I mean, you would more like shame them for being out in the nude. I mean, I will say that if somebody with some, because that I'm cutting out.
Yeah.
Shit. Where did I cut out?
Maybe it's just me. I think towards the beginning. Of what you were just about to say.
Okay, so I was going to say it is technically a violation on people's own liberties to be mandating by law that people be wearing be dressing a certain way on the public, wearing clothes and all. And ideally within a libertarian society, you would not arrest or fine people just for not doing that. But instead, you would rather socially ostracize or embarrass them out of society, basically, until they decide to actually get freaking dressed,
Or leave.
Or leave, yes. But I will say that if a person is naked and they get like too close to an individual, then at that point I say, yeah, you can go ahead and arrest them, because as far as I'm concerned, if a person was to get too close to me and they were naked on the public area, I'd almost take that as an attempt of, I can understand why somebody would take it as an attempt of rape or some kind of sexual assault or whatever. But anyway, I digress. Just being a little bit technical with Hunter as far as being in the nude goes.
Why don't we have
Gay
these
semantics.
Yep.
meaning that you can literally get arrested for walking down the street naked? I can't walk downtown with my dick wiggling everywhere. What is this even America anymore? God damn it! This entire personal liberties thing when it comes
Okay,
to
that was funny.
Yeah, it was. Granted, I mean, some of his impersonations are fairly funny, but anyway.
really doesn't make any sense, especially when you realize that we already give up personal liberties for the general safety of the public all the time without any issue. I understand the civil liberties.
Without any issue, huh?
Yeah, without any issue, quote unquote. He's going to bring up wearing seatbelts as an example a little bit later. I thought he was going to bring it up right there, but not quite. Anyway, just letting him continue.
Point of view with it, for sure, said Dr. Vincent, an epidemiologist, global health specialist, and the chief executive officer at Abacus Pharma International in Miami. He'd called in by phone. I think we sacrifice a lot of our civil liberties in many different ways. He cited severe restrictions when flying, vaccine requirements for children in school.
Well, okay. I'm going to take this one at a time. As far as flying goes, I mean, oh god, we're getting into the area of safety regulations. I will say that personally, when it comes to a lot of safety regulations, that it's really the last thing on my list. And even like when it comes to laws about being naked in public, that's one of the least of my concerns when it comes to my libertarian advocacy and whatnot. But nonetheless, when it comes to flying, if you're going to like build something and have people in it, and have people in that machinery that would likely get people killed, you could make an argument that if they die because of that piece of equipment failing, that could be the equivalent of manslaughter. I mean, fair enough. And at that point, you can fine or arrest them or whatever, or even put in some kind of measure to alleviate it. The thing that I have with mandating that people wear masks in the name of the coronavirus is that it's not the equivalent of manslaughter. I mean, the survival rate is 2%. It's even as low as 1% by some readings, anyways. The survival rate. I mean, fatality rate. The survival rate is 98 or even as high as 99%. The fatality rate is as low as 1%. I'm surprised that Hunter didn't mention it throughout this video. You're saying, JJ?
No, you're good.
Yeah, so it's not equivalent. Not wearing a mask is not the equivalent of manslaughter or anything like that. I've been saying that repeated time and time again over Facebook and whatnot. But yeah. And he also mentions vaccine requirements for children in schools. Well, I'm not for vaccine mandates, but I will say, at least if it's a public school, that the local government can mandate that children and everybody like working within the school should get vaccinated before they step foot inside the school. But if it's like a private school or some other form of schooling, that the children should not be mandated, at least. And by the way, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, everybody. Just FYI. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm all for people getting the flu shot and so forth. I mean, there's other shots outside the flu shot, but I digress anyways.
The mandated wearing of seatbelts.
Okay. Mandated wearing of seatbelts. Like, that is absolute bullshit. I mean, for the most part, anyways, like if you were like not to buckle up your kids when you're having them driving the car, you can make an argument that that's child negligence. But if a person themselves is wanting and refusing to wear a seatbelt, that's completely on them if they die or get injured because they forgot to put on the seatbelt. I mean, you're literally putting in place a law that you're being a nanny state to these people. You are basically putting in forth a law so that they do not do something foolish to their own self. I mean, as crass as it might say, but self-injury or even suicide, if a person consents to taking that risk, is their own right, dude.
Yeah.
Definitively.
The government is not your parent.
Yeah.
Prohibitions on drunk driving. This is
drunk driving, again, that would fall pretty much under the likelihood of manslaughter to be committed. But anyway, I don't wear masks outside because I'm not scared or stupid, says Myth Cuttlefish. Yeah, I mean, if you're wearing masks outside, it is a little bit too ridiculous.
Just stay home. Just stay home if you're going to do that.
Yeah. And I will say that even though I'm railing consistently throughout this live stream against all the pro-lockdown people and all the pro-maskers, on the flip side to all the anti-lockdown people and all the anti-maskers, it is still a business owner's own private property rights, ownership rights, that they do mandate you to wear a mask before you step into their property. I mean, heck, a private business owner can mandate that you wear a full-on hazmat suit before you step inside their building. Literally, I'm not kidding there. They can refuse you to step inside their property unless you follow certain requirements that they want you to. And that's pretty much where I take my mask wearing to, is primarily when it comes to stepping inside privately owned businesses.
Of course, a very good argument. I mean, it's technically an infringement on your civil liberties that the state forces you to wear clothes, that the state forces you to wear a seatbelt, that the state doesn't allow you to drive your car when drunk. There are plenty of ways that we sacrifice our civil liberties for the general health of the public.
Would that include mandating that people shut down their own businesses? Because, okay, I will say, as much as I argue against the mask mandates, that is, for the most part, marginal. The bigger problem that I have is mandating the shutting down of businesses, as California and New York has, and so many other places. That's where it definitely goes too far, because you're not just like mandating that a person just inconveniences their breathing slightly, or mandate that they chip in like a few bucks to wear a mask that they can reuse or whatever. You are mandating that they basically shut down their business or their establishment so that they make absolutely no bucks, no money, and be ultimately reliant on the government, which we cannot sustain ourselves by just consistently giving out people stimulus checks. I mean, even if you are going to advocate for that kind of a fix, that kind of hey, Reckless Trucker in the chat, I see you there. You can join this live stream. I sent it on the Strikeforce News Discord group chat if you really want to join this. Do I have him in that group chat?
Not only that, with shutting down small businesses, you are damaging our economy as a whole. So you'll be hurting more people. People will lose their jobs, and our country will run out of money.
Yeah. Like, even if you were to, like, be... Oh, I'm driving a loud semi, says Reckless Trucker. Okay, never mind then. Well, nice for you to be listening in, though, Trucker. But, even if you are going to advocate for stimulus checks as a fix for people having to shut down their businesses, we still cannot sustain ourselves like this. And this is a problem that I have with Congress in the recent month as well. Let me read some more of the super chats. Hunter is just an idiot, says Zigbar the second. Yeah, like I said earlier, he's being a little bit projecting. JC Armitage says, quote, being sent to the gulags is not a violation on your personal liberties, Hunter, probably. Hunter should tell that BS to all the people who lost their jobs because of these draconian measures, says JC Armitage. Exactly. This is, yeah, just ridiculous. A fix for shutting down business is to not, says Reckless Trucker. I completely agree, Trucker.
So this whole argument with the mask thing, it's delusional, it's pathetic, it's stupid.
The only person that is delusional is you, dude, with your hippie, normie, pretentious nonsense about how the coronavirus.
No, he's not a hippie.
Has to do with a
hippies aren't usually. He's not a hippie. He's just a downright utilitarian, authoritarian cuck.
He really is. Well, I call people hippies whenever they want to have all this let's work together, or
oh yeah, true.
And all the sunshine and rainbows collectivist attitudes that some people like to take, like we're all in this together and whatnot, and we should just
for the human race.
Yeah, stuff along those lines.
True. You got me there.
Wonderful breathing system out the door. You're all turning your backs on it. Can you prove that it's good for people to breathe carbon dioxide over and over and over again?
Do any of these people have even a general understanding of what it's like to wear a mask? Do they realize that?
Yeah, they end up breathing an incremental, higher amount of their own carbon dioxide because they Yeah, because they're breathing in that enclosed space. Yeesh.
I actually have a story about this. So someone that my mom knows, like her daughter, works for a pharmacy, so they have to wear masks. She would do that days on end, weeks, months. Eventually, her lung collapsed because of her inhaling so much carbon dioxide from breathing in her own carbon dioxide.
Oh, no shit, huh?
Yeah, it can be dangerous. And to overlook that is just beyond pathetic.
Mm-hmm. Hunter doesn't know basic economics, says Zigbar II. Yeah, it seems so. Reckless Trucker says, dude didn't know what single-payer healthcare was while debating Vosh. Yeah, I saw that video by AJW, Hunter. Myth Cuttlefish says, he's such a silly penis flytrap. Okay. Jesse Amatage also says, yeah, especially when you have to wear the same exact mask for nearly the whole fucking day. But yeah, I mean, one on the more pro-lockdown side could make the point that how often does that actually happen as far as lung collapsing goes, JJ? But all the same, you do bring up a good point that it is something that they're apparently...
It does take time.
Especially Hunter Biden, yeah. Hunter Biden. No, I meant Hunter Avallone is looking over.
But yeah, I do agree. It does take time for it to eventually make your lung collapse. But even then, you need to look out because there are problems.
Reckless Talker in the chat says, you just call me Hunter. I'm offended. My bad, dude. I did not mean to. I meant Reckless Talker. I don't know how I did that. A little slip of the tongue. Anyway.
When you can still breathe. You can still pull in oxygen while wearing a mask. Secondly, how is this lady claiming that they want to throw out God's wonderful breathing system? Can we not bring religion into this when it has nothing to do with religion?
I mean, what's to stop her? Why can't she?
That's her freedom.
I mean, she's not exactly saying, oh, let's do XYZ in the name of God. She's saying, let's do XYZ for this thing that God has ordained to us. I mean, atheists can be all like, okay, lady, if you say so, if you say that it's God ordained or God given or whatever, but that they cannot be saying, oh, separation of church and state. Well, ultimately they can, but it just would be pointless for them to be going on that point. But anyway, Reckless Trucker says, is MILF a MILF or someone who is with a MILF? The name is Miffed Cuttlefish. You misread that, Reckless Trucker. Apparently, Reckless Trucker pulled an S-man, and you all would know which clip I'm referring to. That little highlight clip that I uploaded a few months ago. Anyway.
Can we not? I'm pretty sure this has nothing to do with turning your back on God and everything to do with trusting science.
I mean, she wasn't saying that they were turning their backs on God. That, if anything, she was saying they were turning their backs on breathing system, on our lungs, which she believes were given by God, basically. Mm-hmm. And by the way, to everybody watching, if you like this live stream, don't forget to hit that like button. Anyway.
And keeping the country safe and working towards reopening our economy.
What about PTSD?
We should not have closed our economy from the first place. I mean, I'm not gonna address the. I'm gonna save the chat for later. Anyway.
Yeah.
From child abuse situations. I was left in a hot car. You want to cover my face? I'm gonna hyperventilate. Because I remember being stuck in that hot car. What about people like me? We don't matter because of the greater good, right?
It's already advised that if you have any kind of health condition, if you have breathing problems, like this woman says, hyperventilating, then it's not actually recommended that you wear a mask. You're removing...
I say fair enough. I have seen that some lockdown and mask advocates add that little caveat. Anyway.
Our freedoms and stomping on our constitutional rights by these communist dictatorship orders.
Wearing a mask, how is that stepping on your constitutional right? How is that?
It's not wearing a mask. It's the mandating of wearing a mask that she is having more of a problem with. That all of us anti-lockdown opponents are having more of a problem with, if anything, Hunter. I mean, I don't know of what the constitutional argument is against these mask mandates. I'm going to be honest with you folks, but I do want to pull up Roe v. Wade. I do not know what exactly Hunter's opinion is on Roe v. Wade anymore nowadays, because I do know that he does not advocate for banning abortions anymore. So for all I know, he might advocate for Roe v. Wade. But the thing that was made about Roe v. Wade, the case that was made for that ruling, was that basically banning abortion, stopping an abortion from happening, goes against a woman's right to privacy. I mean, a person could take that very same logic and apply it to mask mandates as well at the same time. And I think it would be even more applicable to a person being mandated to wear a mask than a person banning abortion, because, yeah, sure, you could say that a woman's own right to privacy is being violated, but at the same time, the little baby's right to life is being violated too, even though they might technically not be a citizen because they're not born yet, but that's aside the point.
Stepping on your pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Tell me how. Masks don't protect the person wearing it from getting COVID. They protect the person who might have COVID from spreading it. So wearing a mask...
Basically just saying the same thing that I admitted about masks a little bit earlier in the stream. Reckless Trucker says, oh no, 99.7% of people will survive. Quick, destroy millions of lives. Right? Flimsiest legal argument ever, says Reckless Trucker. Who is making the flimsiest legal argument ever? Are you referring to me, Reckless Trucker, or are you referring to Hunter? I mean,
I think he's referring to Hunter.
I guess you could make a point that I am not exactly making the strongest case of basing my argument off the Constitution of how a mask mandate is Roe, says Reckless Trucker. Okay, fair enough. He's referring to the ruling on Roe v. Wade. All right. But for future reference, if anybody goes watching this live stream in the future, I might not be making the strongest argument as to how that mask mandate goes against the Constitution, but it's still like at least a base point, a starting point. Anyway.
Is a decency thing. It's about doing what's best for everyone around you. And when you refuse to wear a mask, you're actually putting other people's lives in danger. And by doing so, you are stepping on their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
No, not really. Not when the survival rate is over 99%. Or over 98% at least. Roe lied, babies died, says Myth Cuttlefish. Yup. And not to mention of how that the numbers for coronavirus are likely being inflated. I mean, sure, there are some cases of people contracting coronavirus or dying allegedly from coronavirus that I'm sure that are not being counted. But at the same time, the CDC themselves even admitted that that they were mixing up cases of people just having mere antibodies of coronavirus with just plain and simple cases of coronavirus, of where that people were like actually effectively sick. So, yeah, I mean the numbers aren't solid on that debate. Anyway.
So no, nobody's taking away your rights. You're not being forced to wear a mask in your own private home. And if you were, I would have a problem with that. But
okay, so maybe he does have some problems with some of these mandates in regards of the coronavirus, the response to the coronavirus. But he keeps on saying this line, your liberties are not being infringed upon. I mean, no, it is being infringed upon in regards to the mask mandate. And not to mention all the other ways that the government has taken away people's liberties that we said earlier. And by the way, now, since I'm on this point, since I bring us back to this point, I do want to say that New York There is proposed legislation in New York that is likely to pass that the governor can call a statewide healthcare emergency. I might be botching the terms, but nonetheless can arrest people just for contracting an illness that is deemed dangerous to the general public. And this is, of course, from the New American. But if you do not trust that, here is the original PDF file that you can download from the New American, in fact, of the law itself. And it pretty much lines up with what the New American has said. Although there's also a whole bunch of caveats as to what the processing is done for people who are detained for contracting an illness. But they aren't just going to start mandating people that they stay at their homes. They aren't just going to start mandating that people stay at their homes if they get sick, but also jail them in all likelihood. Even if you're just suspected of contracting the virus. Not if you're confirmed, but just suspected. So do not give us this bullshit of how it is not about our liberties, dude. Because it is. It flat out factually is. And even the freaking, like I said, even the mask mandate, it still technically is. And also what I said earlier about California's crackdown. This is a little bit of an old article. This is from April. But I only heard the stories about how people were getting arrested for just merely boating out in the middle of open waters. How they were being arrested for that, basically going against their state's orders in response to the coronavirus pandemic. But yeah, now I actually read it, and it's down in the description box below if you all care to read it. Anyway, before I get any more rambly.
For the state to mandate you wear a mask in public based on the scientific evidence that proves masks help, no, that is not stepping on anyone's constitutional rights.
You keep on saying that. I don't think you actually know what that saying means. I don't think you even know what the word liberty means, or constitutional rights, or freedom means, dude.
Let's also not forget that there was a massive pandemic in 1918.
A reckless trucker says that ocean air will give others the virus. LOL. Exactly, trucker. Gotta stop those people to save them from themselves of going on an innocent boating trip. I remember that back in the heightened heat of the lockdowns, that they were not closing down campgrounds, at least here in Kansas anyways. I don't know how it was in other states, but here in Kansas, campgrounds were not being closed. They were closing down bars and arcades and other sorts of luxurious luxury establishments, but they at least were not closing down campgrounds. God bless them, at least for that much.
Spanish flu, where America mandated you wear
Rewinding this a bit.
masks. Spanish flu. Let's also not forget that there was a massive pandemic in 1918, the Spanish flu, where America mandated you wear masks. And listen to this, people claiming that wearing masks is tyranny. Cities that passed masking ordinances in the fall of 1918 struggled to enforce them among the small portion of people who rebelled. Common punishments were fines, prison sentences, and having your name printed in the paper.
And they're doing that here in the modern day as well. I mean, heck, I'll even go so far to say that they even executed people on the spot for not wearing a mask in San Francisco. Yeah, that's something that they did apparently. I'll have to actually link the documentary that I had listened to that was talking about that. I mean, I'm not even so sure if all of America was mandating that people wear masks in response to the Spanish flu. But San Francisco was. I definitely do know that they were mandating masks in San Francisco. And if you were not wearing one, you could likely be shot on sight by the police. So, yeah, I agree that things were a whole lot worse back then as far as how fascistic that the local governments were getting in response to the virus. Although I would say that it's a little bit more called for in response to the Spanish flu, because Spanish flu did have a considerably higher fatality rate as compared to the coronavirus. But all the same, I'm just going to stick with that terminology. But all the same, in spite of how things might have been worse in response to the Spanish flu, it does not mean that I am not going to have ethical qualms with a mask mandate, dude. So this is just a big, fat fucking whataboutism right here.
Now, like what happens if you don't wear a mask now? Virtually nothing. People might get mad at you and you might get kicked out of a store because, again, private businesses, they can do what they want. But
I agree enough with that. And like I said, to all the anti-mask people, the stores have their private property rights to mandate that you wear a mask as well. Although I will admit that sometimes I do like to push the boundaries a little bit on that front. Because I'm just so tired of the world that we live in, of where that we're all mandated to wear masks. I mean, I will not absolutely refuse it, I guess, in some circumstances, but I'm still tired of it, the world that we live in.
back in 1918, in America, people were fined or sent to prison for refusing to wear a mask during the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic.
And like I said, they're doing that in some cases here modern day as well. I'll have to actually cite the stories of where that I read this being happening down in the description box. Excuse me. In post of this stream no longer being live.
Let's also not forget that everybody's favorite, George Washington, went through 2 different pandemics, a yellow fever pandemic and a smallpox epidemic. During these pandemics, George Washington literally forced his men to either quarantine or undergo an inoculation, which is where you expose yourself to a small strain of the virus in hopes of building immunity to the virus.
Well, that's him telling his own men what to do. I mean, that would be like the military mandating that the military members be going away for the day, like taking the day off, restricting themselves at home, or mandate that they get a vaccine or whatever. I mean, this ain't equivalent, dude. Us libertarians and anti-lockdown people, we are not saying that it is unethical for government organizations to mandate their own employees that they are to do X, Y, Z in response to the what am I trying to say? In response to the coronavirus pandemic. It is within their jurisdiction to ask them to do that. Otherwise, they can fire those people from employment of that public sector job or whatever. Yeah, nobody is arguing against that. You just basically, he's not arguing against a straw man, but he's just pulling up a false analogy, an anecdote or example that does not work. What we have an issue with is people like mandating it amongst the general public. That's the question that I would like to pose right here. Did George Washington mandate it against the general public? I don't think so, at least not by what you are saying right here, Hunter. His men, not a country, says Myth Cuttlefish. Exactly. God, he's so dumb. Myth Cuttlefish is so pissed in the live chat, and I love it. Sent 1000 says, more like a soy boy vegan, nun animal leather bootlicker. LOL. Oh, he's saying that in response to Myth Cuttlefish saying that Hunter's a bootlicker. Yep, licking those government boots indeed.
George Washington mandated that for his men. America has mandated masks in the past, and people were punished far more harshly for not wearing masks.
And we're still going to have criticisms towards it. This response does not work, Hunter.
Yeah.
So for all the people claiming that this is somehow tyranny or something, just shut the fuck up. Well,
how about you shut the fuck up, you douchebag? Fuck, I'm so sick of you. And I think that's pretty much the end of the video. And like I said in the middle of responding to this shitty ass video right here, if I hear one more person say one more time that the government is not infringing on your freedoms, that the response to the pandemic has nothing to do with your freedoms, they're not infringing on your freedoms, it'll be too soon.
You're an idiot if you think that.
I wouldn't go so far to say that, JJ, but they are definitely normie that has their head in the sand.
Okay, I went too far. You're not stupid. You're just unnuanced and naive.
Yeah. I can at least say that. I guess. Although I don't know if I would even be that brash personally, because honestly, I do have friends and family who either were or are like of the mindset of saying that the coronavirus response has nothing to do with your freedoms, which it frustrates me, but I still try to like keep my cool and composure so as to not insult them or whatever. But Hunter, he was just going all out, saying that people fighting for their freedoms are idiots, apparently. Just plain and simple idiots. I mean, say what he will, say what you will about the people who are arguing against the science on masks, whatever. But that might be all fair game, I guess. But do not call people who are fighting for their freedoms are not idiots. Definitely not.
No, not even close.
Just because people have a difference of belief or a difference of principle. But anyway. So that's the end of that video. And we went on for about an hour and 15 minutes responding to it. I need to like get quicker at responding to those videos, but nonetheless, it is how it is. And I hope you guys all appreciated responding to Hunter Avallone on that. And we're going to actually get reading into the news. And this being from Washington Examiner, Biden set to inherit worsening situation as agents encounter 80% more migrants at border. I think this is in response. Yeah, this is talking about the coronavirus here. Exacerbated immigration because of the coronavirus pandemic. President-elect Joe Biden will inherit a growing crisis at the United States-Mexico border, where for the past 8 months, encounters of illegal immigrants have risen as migrants flee Mexico, Central America, and South America amid the coronavirus. Federal law enforcement at the U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered 74,000 people at the southern border in December, approximately 4,000 people more than in November and October. The agency said Tuesday, It is an 82% increase from the 40,500 people encountered in December 2019. This rounds out a significant increase we've seen and been experiencing the last 3 months, said Mark Morgan, acting CBP commissioner. CBP did not reveal how many of the 74,000 people were arrested after illegally crossing the border versus how many sought to cross at ports of entry but were denied. However, in October and November, 95% of people encountered at the border had sneaked across, and the remaining 5% were denied entry at vehicle crossings. I gotta go. Love all of you, says Reckless Trucker. Well, talk to you later, Reckless. Hope to have you on the podcast at some other point later. But anyway, since the spring, the Border Patrol has immediately returned illegal immigrants to Mexico or their home countries instead of taking people into custody and allowing them due process. The initiative, known as Title 42, was implemented to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in small, crowded holding facilities on the border. Well, it seems that this coronavirus pandemic, it took a pandemic, apparently, for immigration customs to do what I suggested like 3 years ago, what I thought ought to be done in regards of immigration as far as reforms go. Like I said back in 2017 that I think instead of holding people for months on end, sapping off the taxpayer dollar, instead of holding illegal immigrants in prison in that regards, that you should like expedite the process more to actually bring them back down to the border or back down to their home countries anyways. I mean, nowadays I've become more lenient on illegal immigration over the years. Like I'm a little bit more of the Milton Friedman school of immigration. Like get rid of the welfare state and then we can have open borders immigration basically. But before then, I still hold somewhat of the opinion that we have to have some immigration control. But back on my original point though, they're actually now more expediting the process of putting people back down to their home countries or taking them back down to their home countries. And it took a freaking pandemic of where that they're scared of people contracting the disease if they were to hold them in place. I mean, if you already know beyond the shadow of a doubt of where that they came from, you saw them actually sneak in, then it should not take a long, drawn-out investigation it should take like little to no due process to actually get them back down there, or little to no time, anyways. Myth Cuttlefish says, "LOL, Biden's not going to be the president. Harris is." Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hermitage says, "Wait, for real? That's
Biden's gonna unexpectedly pass away, to say the least.
quote unquote. He's gonna pull a Jeffrey Epstein."
Yeah, Harris is gonna pull the Epstein.
I should not laugh, but all the same, Jeffrey Epstein is an eternal meme, an eternal reference now. Since the spring, did I already read this? No, I don't think he did. Since the spring, the Border Patrol has immediately returned illegal immigrants to Mexico or their home countries. Wait, no, I already read that. Never mind. Morgan warned in June that CBP may see an increase in migrants fleeing their home countries in Mexico and Central America for the U.S. Due to economic peril prompted by the coronavirus pandemic and the natural disasters that have struck in the region this year. He has also claimed that people are traveling to the southern border in hopes of being admitted before Biden takes office in 2 weeks. The U.S. is not allowing asylum seekers who arrive at the border into the country while they await court decisions, and refugee hopefuls are instead told to wait on the Mexico side of the border. An estimated 60,000 people have been camped out in Mexican border towns awaiting days in U.S. border courts, a process that takes months to years. Close that down. Over the weekend, several hundred Cuban citizens in Mexico rushed a bridge that connects Ciudad Juarez with El Paso, Texas. But they were blocked from entering the U.S., Morgan said in a call with reporters Tuesday morning that he is greatly concerned because unlike the 2019 humanitarian crisis in which half of the 1 million people encountered at the border were families, most people encountered this fall have been single adults. Cannot pull on people's heartstrings as easily if they don't have their kids with them, right? Caravans are already starting to form at greater numbers than we've probably seen in the past 10 months now, said Morgan, noting that large groups have been moving north from South America and Central America. Morgan added that the El Paso bridge incident is just a microcosm of what is occurring. We just had an intelligence brief this week where Panama has about 1,800 folks that they're kind of caring for right now. But at the same time, they have almost just as many who have gone outside of that and went ahead and left Panama and made their way to and are making their way to the U.S. border illegally, he said. The government saw more than 977,000 attempts to cross the southern border illegally in fiscal year 2019, which ran from October 2018 through September 2019, making it the highest number since 2007. The humanitarian crisis at the border peaked during May, when more than 144,000 people were encountered at the southern border. While previous surges in illegal immigration were mostly Mexican men, last year's surge included more families and unaccompanied children than single adults. Families from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras made up 473,000 of the 977,000 illegal immigrants last year. More than 76,000 unaccompanied children were also taken into custody. Federal data shows. Morgan plans to leave his position in 2 weeks when Biden is sworn into office. All right. So that's the end of that article. So quite an interesting little factoid to be reading right there, folks. And it just sets the stage for how the immigration subject is going to look for the Biden administration. Anyway, that's pretty much all that I had queued up. I don't have any other news sources to go reviewing over. I need to get back on my A game as far as these news streams go. But hey, JJ, what is it that you're up to? Want to tell the audience?
I'm actually about to start writing books. I'm an author now, or writer, author, about to be an author.
Are you going to make some presentations, some little snippets of your work on your YouTube channel?
Probably not because of how bad my internet is, but I don't know. Hell, I have an Instagram now, so I might do that on there instead.
How many followers you got on Instagram?
I'm pretty sure it's like 6, and like half of them are bots for some reason.
Oh, 6. Okay. Never mind then. Yeah, a lot less than your YouTube following, and a lot less than your Twitter had ever, when it still existed anyways.
I might do a stream and show my progress once I have, stuff going on.
Yeah, it's just a little idea that I thought of, is that you what am I trying to say? Is that you use your YouTube channel as sort of a promoting tool for your books.
Yeah, I'll probably use my YouTube and then advertise for my Instagram to see more of it because, it's easier for me.
Oh, God. Myth Cuttlefish in the chat says, I really am excited for a Harris presidency. She can tell us how many BJs she gave Biden to let her take over in between puffs.
Oh, dear God.
That is disgusting, Myth Cuttlefish. Come on. And by the way, I noticed that you also updated your profile picture, Myth Cuttlefish. Is that like is that a personal photo or something? Like it almost looks like people that I see in that profile picture. I kind of wish that YouTube did not take away the ability for you to like click on the 3 dots right next to somebody's name in a live chat and then go to their YouTube channel. It really freaking sucks.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Set 1000 puts a little live chat here. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses. Sorrow. I don't know the full flow of that song. And then Myth Cuttlefish says in the chat, "Stop it, sent 1000." That's gonna. I love that sent 1000. Do not stop with those little references. I take it sent 1000 that whenever you say that live chat that you're making a reference to my highlight clip of where I responded to Black Critic Guy on Cuties, right? By the way, JJ, did you see that highlight clip that I did about Black Critic Guy?
Huh?
Did you see that highlight clip that I taken of where that me and Arkham were responding to Black Critic Guy on Cuties?
I think so.
Someone 1000 says, yup, to my question. All right. Yeah, glad you like it. It's my most successful video of 2020. Second place goes to the TJ Kirk response video, but that is like really my that was really where that I was the angriest. I don't think I've ever been so angry in my life on an on-air live stream ever before, except for that moment responding to BCG. He was such a fucking moron. Like, everybody likes to call each other morons within politics, but I think we can all at least come together and agree in a collective that the biggest morons of all times are Cuties defenders. Am I right, folks?
Yep.
You're either a moron or an unironic pedo sympathizer, or even a pedo for one yourself. That was the one where TJ defended the riots, right? Asks JC. Exactly, JC. That one. One of my favorite videos, along with the Foamy the Squirrel response video. Foamy the Squirrel, TJ Kirk, and Black Critic Guy, some of the most successful targets of my YouTube channel, or some targets of where that my YouTube channel was the most successful at in responding to. Anyway, I think it might be pretty much time to go.
Her picture is a literal cuttlefish, Zach.
Sorry, what?
Her Miffed Cuttlefish's picture is literally a cuttlefish.
Oh, I see. Never mind. I thought it might have been like somebody cuddling with another person on the couch or something. It's hard for me to make out because it's so small.
That is true. It's pretty small.
It's so small to where I can mistake it.
Like Hunter Avallone's brain.
I mean, let's be honest. Okay. Talking a little bit, I guess, before we go off air about Hunter's change in beliefs. Like, I think it's safe to say that Hunter had no real solid principles to begin with. I mean, otherwise he would not have buckled as much so easily to leftists as far as different beliefs go. Like, he's given up pretty much on the legal fight when it comes to abortion. He's given up on capitalism, pretty much. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason as to why that he's sympathetic towards the lockdowns, because he's becoming less and less sympathetic for capitalism. And I think we can all definitively agree that these lockdowns are anti-capitalist, are anti-free market.
Anti-freedom in general.
LOL, that's my backup. YouTube didn't like mo words, says Myth Cuttlefish. Oh, shit. Sorry to hear. Anyway, is there anything that you'd like to say before we close out of here, JJ?
Communism sucks, and so does Hunter.
Yep. Apparently, yeah, he sucks Vosh's dick because JC Armitage says if a debate with Vosh turns one into a socialist, then you didn't have any principles in the first place. Pretty much, JC. I mean,
Yep.
I won't solidly say that he definitely became a socialist at that moment, but he was becoming increasingly more pedo sympathetic. Or sorry, did I say pedo? I meant a socialist sympathetic. My bad. Let me retract that. Let me correct that. Nobody is trying to say that Hunter Avallone is pedosympathetic. In fact, he made his own. Well, yeah, child porn and all. Yeah.
Yep.
I can't believe that guy actually has fans, knowing that little thing about him. But
Oh, yeah.
but just for the record, y'all, apparently I did look at Hunter's YouTube channel very briefly, and he did make a response to cuties. So for the record, I don't think Hunter is pedosympathetic at all. But I was meaning to say that
He had a Freudian slip.
yeah, he might have not become a full-on socialist, but he was at least becoming socialist sympathetic in that debate with Vosh, which we may return to respond to Hunter Avallone sometime in the future, like he did one video apparently talking about the stimulus checks. But anyway, for right now, I'm just going to leave, get on with my day, and for all of y'all who have watched, thank you all for tuning in, and yeah, just like Crusader said, or Libertarian Native, my bad. Just like he said, Hunter is projecting when he calls other people idiots. I'm the Dark Conservatarian. See y'all later. Godspeed.